So Marjorie Taylor Green is resigning, huh? Now she says her last day is January 5th, which people thought was ironic that she didn't make her last day January 6th, but I digress. People also thought it was interesting that her federal pension, which gives her $15,000 a year of taxpayer funds, kicks in January 3rd. So 2 days after that, she is going to be leaving Congress. Now, the 10 to 11 minute video that she puts out talking about why she's resigning kind of says a few things. And I'll try to add the full clip to the end of my YT and Substack for people who want to watch her full video. But basically in the video, she kind of reiterates everything that she is. The whole conservative racist policies that demonize the most vulnerable while pretending like you're not propping up billionaires. She goes after immigrants, the LGBT community, specifically the trans community, women's right to choose, as well as her proud record of making sure that we do absolutely nothing at all about pew-pews in schools. But at the end of her video, she basically says that a politician like her can't do anything in Washington and it's up to the people. And that she'll basically be there once the people win back the country to help rebuild it. She's going to let the people do all the work, and then she's going to be there at the end to rebuild in the image that she thinks America should be once everybody else does all the hard work. Meanwhile, she's going to be living her life to the fullest after making all those millions and getting that pension from Congress off of the taxpayer dime. Another thing I got from the end of her video was that she is under no illusion that she is not going to be primaried. And just like she did when she came in and primaried the Republican as a QAnon, she is afraid that she will be outseated. Bone Spurs had already said that he would support anybody who primaried her. So either she would be outseated, or if she did win, she would then be forced to defend him against impeachment because she is sure that the Democrats are going to win the midterms. Now, apparently Bone Spurs was asked by Rachel Scott, which is somebody that's big over there in the town square, about what he thought about Marjorie Taylor Greene's resignation. Now, he said it was a good thing for the country. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. But then she asked about the rift between them, and he said that the rift was between him and her, and not her and him. Now, some influencers are saying that they don't know what that means, but I personally understand it as him trying to say that he broke up with her and not the other way around. I say that because he has also said that Marjorie Taylor Greene has been trying to call him and he has been ignoring her calls. He is basically doing the whole high school breakup thing with, I broke up with her, she didn't break up with me. He wants to sew in that dynamic that she needs him and he doesn't need her. That's why he is saying stuff like the rift is between him and her and not her and him, putting himself as the arbiter of the rift. And not that she broke up with him because of his handling and cover-up of the E-Man files. He wants America to think that he is in control of that relationship. Now, I think it is important for everybody to remember, before we get too happy that she won't be in the political spotlight anymore, that in Georgia, in order to run for Senate or governor, you must resign the House first. And this would also explain her 180 when it comes to the crazy rhetoric that she has had. Because gerrymandering districts affects the House. So when she is running for a district, she can be as outlandish as she wants to be because she's safe. But if she's going to run for the Senate or the governorship, then she has to get the backing of way more people than in her district, which is why usually you'll see senators or governors take more of a moderate stance than something that is completely outlandish. If my assumption is correct and she wants to run for either Senate or governor at some point, or even the presidency, she will have to paint herself as being more moderate and not the bat crazy person that she has shown herself to be so far. And she sees the writing on the wall when it comes to voters going more towards the Democratic Party now, because the Republican Party has proven itself to be so deplorable and harmful to many of their own voters. But I think it is very important for people to remember who this woman is. So let's go down memory lane. During her first election, Marjorie Taylor Greene was a part of QAnon. Remember QAnon? That group that thought that the Democrats were P3POs that were consuming baby brains in a pizzeria basement? Yeah, she was that. Remember when QAnon thought that Bone Spurs was the literal savior that was going to save them from these baby consuming Democrats? That nonsense that didn't age well at all? That was her. Marjorie Taylor Greene, after the Parkland school pew-pewing, harassed Parkland students who had witnessed the whole thing and witnessed the loss of their own friends. She harassed them on that campus, calling it a hoax and saying that they lied about their experience. Marjorie Taylor Greene in 2018 blamed the California wildfires on Jewish space lasers. I kid you not. In 2020, she was one of the largest supporters of the big lie, and even one of the ones calling for people to go down there on J6 and take their country back. In addition to the space lasers, she said that the government controls the weather and blamed hurricanes and natural disasters caused by the climate change that she denies on government special powers. Ironically enough, she only blames those things on government powers when Democrats are the head of the government. I haven't heard her say too much else about government powers when Republicans are in charge of the government. She would like and repost comments that people were saying about being violent towards Democrats, including mocking Nancy Pelosi's husband, who got attacked by somebody who was after Nancy Pelosi. She, who is always talking about the violent radical left, reposted and liked posts talking about violence towards people on the left. And she was totally fine with that, apparently until CK had that incident happen to him. Marjorie Taylor Green likened mass mandates and vaccine requirements during the pandemic to the Jewish Holocaust. She equated the two, saying that they were basically the same thing. Which, if you know your history, I need not say anything further. She, on more than one occasion, has made racist comments, calling black women or black people monkeys or ghetto, or saying something about weave, or whatever stereotype she has for black people at the time. She said that Muslims were not real members of Congress because they didn't swear on the Bible, but didn't say nothing when Bone Spurs also didn't swear on the Bible. But yet she wanted to call those Muslims elected by their constituents a Muslim invasion. Marjorie Taylor Green called the Democrats the party of P3POs because they supported trans rights and gender affirming care. She has made millions of dollars while being a congressperson. The latest being in April, when she just so happened to trade stocks exactly the way that she needed to, right before Bone Spurs crashed the markets with his announcements of the tariffs on all the countries. Bone Spurs was in the Oval Office with billionaires talking about how much money they had made from him crashing the market like that. And Marjorie Taylor Green also made millions off of that crash. And now, according to her video, she is going to go live life to the fullest while she has ushered in a time where people can barely put food on the table because of her policies and her support of a man that only wants to enrich himself and his billionaire buddies as long as they serve him. Marjorie Taylor Green did that, and yet she is going to go live her life to the fullest. I personally say she can go live her life to the fullest, but she needs to stay away from public office. If I was in Georgia or anywhere around this country, I wouldn't elect her for county dog catcher. I will never forget the things that Marjorie Taylor Green has done. I don't care what image she is trying to put out. She is untrustworthy and forever compromised.
Hi, everyone. I've always represented the common American man and woman as a member of the House of Representatives, which is why I've always been despised in Washington, D.C., and just never fit in. Americans are used by the political industrial complex of both political parties, election cycle after election cycle, in order to elect whichever side can convince Americans to hate the other side more. And the results are always the same. No matter which way the political pendulum swings, Republican or Democrat, nothing ever gets better for the common American man or woman. The debt goes higher, corporate and global interests remain Washington's sweethearts, American jobs continue to be replaced, whether it's by illegal labor or legal labor by visas or just shipped overseas. Small businesses continue to be swallowed by big corporations. Americans' hard-earned tax dollars always fund foreign wars, foreign aid, and foreign interest, and the spending power of the dollar continues to decline. The average American family can no longer survive on a single breadwinner's income, as both parents have to work in order to simply survive. And today, many in my children's generation feel hopeless for their future and don't think they will ever realize the American dream. And that breaks my heart. I ran for Congress in 2020 and have fought every single day believing that Make America Great Again meant America first. I have one of the most conservative voting records in Congress, defending the First Amendment, Second Amendment, unborn babies, because I believe God creates life at conception, and I love to fight for the little guy. Strong, safe borders, I have fought hard for that. I've fought against COVID tyrannical insanity and mandated mass vaccinations, and I've never voted to fund foreign wars with your hard-earned tax dollars. However, with almost 1 year into our majority, the legislature has been mostly sidelined. We endured an 8-week shutdown, wrongly, resulting in the House not working for the entire time, and we are entering campaign season, which means all courage leaves and only safe campaign re-election mode is turned on in the House of Representatives. During the longest shutdown in our nation's history, I raged against my own speaker and my own party for refusing to proactively work diligently to pass a plan to save Americans' health care and protect Americans from outrageous, overpriced, and unaffordable health insurance policies. The House should have been in session working every day to fix this disaster. But instead, America was force-fed disgusting political drama once again from both sides of the aisle on television every single day. My bills, which reflect many of President Trump's executive orders, like calling for a new census counting Americans only to draw new districts, making English the official language of the U.S., making it a felony to medically trans a minor, and other bills like eliminating capital gains taxes on the sale of your primary home and eliminating H-1B visas just sit. They all sit collecting dust. That's how it is for most members of Congress bills. The Speaker never brings them to the floor for a vote. Many common Americans are no longer easily convinced by paid political propaganda spokespersons and consultants on TV and paid shills on social media obediently serving with cult-like conviction to force others to swallow the political party talking points. Because they know how much credit card debt they have, they know how much their bills have gone up over the past 5 years, they actually do their own grocery shopping and know food costs too much, their rent has increasingly gone up and up. They have been outbid by corporate asset managers too many times when they put in an offer to buy a house. They have been laid off after being forced to train their visa holding replacement. The college degree they were told to earn only left them in debt with no big six-figure salary. They see more homeless people than ever on their own community streets. They can't afford health insurance or practically any insurance, and they just aren't stupid. These are the people I represent and love because that is who all of my family and friends are, common Americans. I've been blessed to represent the 14th District of Georgia for 5 years. The district is filled with some of the most wonderful, kind-hearted, God-fearing, patriotic, hardworking people you will ever meet. Good, regular, common Americans. I've worked hard to bring taxpayer dollars back home to help district needs. I impeached Biden's Secretary of Homeland after watching my constituents die as he facilitated dangerous open border invasion into America. And I led the effort to defund hard-left politically biased NPR and PBS and the corrupt USAID, and I did that as chair of the DOJ subcommittee. I have fought harder than almost any other elected Republican to elect Donald Trump and Republicans to power. I traveled the country for years. I spent millions of my own money. I missed precious time with my family that I can never get back. And I showed up in places like outside the New York courthouse in Collect Pond Park against a raging leftist mob as Trump faced Democrat lawfare. Meanwhile, most of the establishment Republicans who secretly hate him and who stabbed him in the back and never defended him against anything have all been welcomed in right after the election. And I will never forget the day I had to leave my mother's side as my father had brain surgery to remove cancerous tumors in order to fly to Washington, D.C. to defend President Trump and vote no against the Democrats' second impeachment in 2021. My poor father and my poor mother, it was way too much for all of us. Through it all, I never changed or went back on my campaign promises and only disagreed in a few areas, like my stance against H-1Bs replacing American jobs, AI state moratoriums, debt for life 50-year mortgage scams, standing strongly against all involvement in foreign wars, and demanding the release of the Epstein files. Other than that, my voting record has been solidly with my party and the president. Loyalty should be a two-way street, and we should be able to vote our conscience and represent our district's interests because our job title is literally representative. America first should mean America first and only Americans first, with no other foreign country ever being attached to America first in our halls of government. Standing up for American women who were raped at 14 years old, trafficked and used by rich, powerful men should not result in me being called a traitor and threatened by the President of the United States, whom I fought for. However, while yes, hurtful, my heart remains filled with joy, my life is filled with happiness, and my true convictions remain unchanged because my self-worth is not defined by a man, but instead by God who created everything in existence. You see, I have never valued power, titles, or attention in spite of all the wrong assumptions about me. I do not cling to those things because they are meaningless and empty traps that hold too many people in Washington. I believe in term limits and do not think Congress should be a lifelong career or an assisted living facility. My only goal and desire has ever been to hold the Republican Party accountable for the promises it makes to the American people and put America first. And I have fought against Democrats' damaging policies like the Green New Deal, wide open, deadly, unsafe border policies, and the trans agenda on children and against women. With that has brought years of non-stop, never-ending personal attacks, death threats, lawfare, ridiculous slander and lies about me that most people could never withstand even for a single day. It has been unfair and wrong, not only to me, but especially to my family, but it's been wrong to my district as well. I have too much self-respect and dignity. I love my family way too much, and I do not want my sweet district to have to endure a hurtful and hateful primary against me by the president that we all fought for, only to fight and win my election while Republicans will likely lose the midterms, and in turn be expected to defend the president against impeachment after he hatefully dumped tens of millions of dollars against me and tried to destroy me. It's all so absurd and completely unserious. I refuse to be a battered wife, hoping it all goes away and gets better. If I am cast aside by the president and the MAGA political machine and replaced by neocons, big pharma, big tech, military-industrial war complex, foreign leaders, and the elite donor class that can never ever relate to real Americans, then many common Americans have been cast aside and replaced as well. There is no plan to save the world or a 4D chess game being played. When common American people realize and understand that the political industrial complex of both parties is ripping this country apart, that not one elected leader like me is able to stop Washington's machine from gradually destroying our country, and instead the reality is that they, common Americans, the people, possess the real power over Washington, then I'll be here by their side to rebuild it. Until then, I'm going back to the people that I love, to live my life to the fullest as I always have. I'll be resigning from office with my last day being January 5th, 2026, and I look forward to seeing many of you again sometime in the future. May God bless you all, and may God bless America.